Lastly, for the animation, let's give it a night setting by adding some stars and a moving background texture. I made some small changes in the background color, so don't mind that. I'm starting by creating a new solid. This is gonna be the layer for the stars, so I'll choose a white color. And I'll name it stars and click OK. Select the layer and go to Effects, and I'm looking for CC Ball Action. I've already discovered which values I want here, so I'll set the scatter to 520 and the size to 8. Now I'll place this layer behind the ground layer so it looks like the stars are in the sky. Now I want an effect on this effect, like a double effect. I'll make a new solid and name it Fractal Noise, and add the effect with that same name to this new layer. This layer is going to be a matte for the star layer, hiding and showing the stars depending on the brightness of the area. I don't know if I'm being clear enough, but you'll see what I mean in a moment. So I've already decided some values that will give me the look that I'm going for. And in this case, that's more contrast, a little bigger scale, and some more blur. Now this is just a still image, but I want it to move, so I'm going to animate the evolution. I'll move the playhead to the beginning of the timeline and set a new keyframe. Then go to the end and type in 3 cycles. The fractal noise is moving, but it's not looping seamlessly. To have it do that, I need to go to the evolution options and check the cycle evolution. Now you can't see when it starts and when it ends, which is a good thing. Go down to the stars layer and set the track matte to Luma. Now you can see what it does. It makes the stars twinkle a little bit. By duplicating these 2 layers, I can make a nice sky texture by just changing some values in the existing effect. This time I want the spots to be more dense. This effect is a little unpredictable, so maybe I have to have the size value higher, even if I don't want these spots to appear bigger. All the parameters kind of impact each other, so just try a few different things and see what works for you. Maybe even resizing the solid will make a difference of your liking. To make sure the motion feels more dynamic, I'll make sure the fractal noise for this layer is different from the previous effect layer. I'll have a lesser contrast and scale it up even more. And I'll have it animate a little slower. So I'll set the evolution to 2 cycles instead of 3. Now I'm happy with how this is playing. And I want it to be softer and less obvious, so I'll lower the opacity. I want an even more soft version of the effect to show on the whole background, so I'm duplicating these layers, moving the new ones to above the ground layer, and I'll change some values again. In the fractal noise layer, I'm checking invert, so it doesn't just add to the previous effect. This one will be even more transparent. It's time to make the whole scene get lighter and darker in sync with the shade animation. Start by duplicating the background layer, selecting the bottom layer and going to the layer settings and making it black. On the blue background layer, I'm going to change the opacity so it animates from very transparent to less transparent at the middle of the animation. So I'm setting the first keyframe to 16. And then I'll go somewhere around here and set it to something higher, maybe above 60. And then the last keyframe will be 16 as well. Just like the first one, so it loops. Now I'll do a similar thing with the ground. Duplicate it and rename the new layer to ground gradient. And I'm adding a gradient ramp to it. Here in the effects menu. I'm changing the light color to a blue that fits in with our scene. Go to the middle of the animation and click the stopwatch for the start of the ramp. And I'll move the starting point closer to the ground, so that the gradient is more visible. I'll press the stopwatch for the end of the ramp too. Then I'm going to the beginning and repositioning the start and end points, so they make sense for the direction of the light. Then I need to do the same for the end of the animation. And at the very end, I'm copying and pasting the first keyframes so that everything loops. I don't think this looks very natural yet, so I'm going to use the same animating transparency as for the background. I could just copy those keyframes and paste them into this layer, or I'll do it manually, with a little bit different values. Lastly, let's add a finishing touch that is usually used in After Effects to fix banding, if the gradient appears to look like it has stripes of different tones instead of a soft, gradual color transition. I'm adding a new adjustment layer, the same way as you create a new solid. I'll drag this up to the top, and I'm gonna add a noise effect and set the value to 5. You might not see much here, but it looks a little softer and a little grainier as well. Now I just want this to fix the gradient, so I'll drag it down to above the ground. So now the animation is done and all we need to do is export.